Steve Harrington here going on here. Hey everybody, it's a brand new episode of Dylan Knows come to you live 11:40 p.m. Sorry, 11:45 p.m. Saturday, September 3rd. It is Labor Day weekend, and day one of Labor Day weekend has come and gone. We still got 2 more days left. Thank God for that, because I could use it. It's been a interesting week so far. Not as interesting as other weeks have, but a lot of interesting stuff rolling out here. There's some Black Panther 2 news. We got some Werewolf by Night news. We got Lord of the Rings review. We've got She-Hulk review, some Twin Peaks stuff, more casting for the Kevin Costner epic that I'm actually really looking forward to now, even more so seeing all these names coming into it. Horizon, physics, about physics, Halloween and Christmas both makes an appearance here. A surprising sequel gets a surprising production start with a surprising cast. Other productions have finished. Fandom is done. Stephen King is everywhere. He has a new book coming out, so he's everywhere doing stuff. We talk about losers like Rob Liefeld and Zack Snyder also as well. Who is leaving the United States because it's just too crazy. What the fuck? I can't even read this one. I'm already looking at stuff. Bad news for NASA. Joe Pesci, space, football. I was like, what the hell is that? And some weird new stuff to look at. And some upcoming stuff for Dylan Knows. So we got some things to roll through here now. Real quick, let's start with something kind of interesting here. I don't know if you remember, I guess it was, it was this year. Man, it's like, it's September now, and the year is starting to just sort of blend with all the rest. With the past is all becoming one big glob in my head, so I can't remember. Did this stuff happen this year? Did it happen last year? Did it happen in my mind? No, it didn't have my mind because it's an actual thing. But I think it was this year where we had the whole GameStop issue where the stock market or whatever, some stockbrokers or whatever, as a joke, decided that they were going to buy up a bunch of GameStop stock to make it look like it was going well, and then sort of sell it. It's like it was a big joke to them. Joke fell on them because more and more people jumped in on it, and GameStop at the moment during this time for at least a few weeks was the most successful company in the world due to this stock exchange thing, which goes to show you how much of a joke the stock exchange actually really is. And so they decided they were going to make a movie about it. I think it's a movie. I'm pretty sure it's a movie. I don't think it's a TV show. But they've got a cast for the GameStop movie now. Seth Rogen is reteaming with Sebastian Stan to be in this movie about GameStop called Dumb Money. It's also going to star Paul Dano and Pete Davidson. Also join the cast as well. Real quick, the reason why I'm wearing this shirt today is it is a half moon. And every half moon of the month, you can become an obliviator in the Harry Potter world. Plus, it was back to Hogwarts on September 1st. So I figured, why not be a good sort of follow through here? So that'll be nice. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt today. So yeah, Dumb Money is coming out soon, but it's got an interesting cast and could be a interesting movie on of its own. Excuse me. Ninja and Pokimane, 2 of the most successful streamers in streaming land, have decided they're going to call it calling a little break here, vacation from streaming. So they're going to be taking a break here for a while. Streaming's a hard job, I guess. You do it and you have so many millions of followers and people watching and stuff like that. It's got to be insane. My friend Shockdoor does it with his gaming streams, and he's doing it very successfully. So good. He's not obviously as high as a Ninja or a Pokimane because they're in the millions of followers, and he's cracking over 1,000, which is still very impressive. So good on that for the episode. It's kind of a hard thing, so I can understand that. It's okay. A lot of 11-year-olds you think would be one of the people who watches these streamers for all kinds of stuff, and they probably is. But this one 11-year-old boy is getting a bachelor's degree in physics. So he is our very own Doogie Howser right now, except he's not getting a doctorate in medical medicine. He's getting a bachelor's degree in physics, so he'll probably go on maybe to get a doctorate eventually. He's only 11 years old, though, so obviously getting a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science for physics is fairly impressive for an 11-year-old, bachelor's degree in physics. That means he went to college at the age of 11, so good for him. College football started this week. We'll get to a little bit more of that later in the show, but big news for fans who follow college football. The last couple of years, they've been doing a 4-game playoff for the 4 top spots in the top 25 would play each other around New Year's, and the final 2 the winners of both of those games would face off against each other in the national championship. See who the national champion is. It's big money. It makes a lot of money for the college. It's a big thing to watch on TV. Particularly around the holidays. The bowl games are huge money makers for colleges and for TV stations. So, and they've been toying with the idea of expanding the playoffs because, you only get to pick 4, but there might be 6 or 7 teams that are all deserving to be getting into this playoff, but due to whatever reason, smaller school, easier schedule, a loss to a team that is really, really good compared to a loss of a team that isn't, but you've won every one of your other games, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of things that go into this whole thing. So there are teams that believe they deserve the number 4 spot, number 3 spot, whatever, that don't get it due to the way the playoffs are picked, I guess. So they complained about it, and then they go out in their bowl games that they have that aren't part of the national championship sort of thing and just blow out their opponents, stuff like that, and say, see, we could have done this. And then one of the teams that did get in ostensibly is always going to shit the bed. It's going to be, a total blowout. I think it happened last year where, this one team got in that a lot of people thought wasn't deserving, that this other team deserved to get in. I forget the names of them, excuse me, but the other team, annihilated their bowl opponent, and the team that replaced them got blown out in the playoff game. It was like a no contest. The game was over by halftime, sort of thing. So a lot of people were now saying, well, it would have been more interesting maybe if you would have put this other team in, maybe it would be a more entertaining game. So now you get your chance. The college football has expanded the playoffs to 12 teams now, which honestly sort of dilutes it a little bit. Might not have gone to 12. I might have gone to 6 from 4, because really, honestly, after you get to your top 6 teams, always saying we deserve that the 7 through 12 are kind of interchangeable, really. So I guess, now that means we're going to have 6 games that are going to lead to the national championship. So you're going to connect them to bowl games. So you're going to have your Cotton Bowl, your what is the other ones out there? There's the I forget off. My mind isn't working right now. Orange Bowl. Excuse me. all the big bowls now that the Sugar Bowl, stuff like that, all the higher echelon sort of players, Gator Bowl maybe there too. The higher echelon teams that didn't make the playoffs end up playing in. Now that becomes part of their whole thing. So we'll see how that goes. We'll find out again at this end of this year, so we'll see what happens. But yes, we will get back to college football here in a minute. Let's see. Jamie Clayton, we mentioned this a while back, was cast as a female Sibonite in, or they call Pinhead, in the new horror film. What what is that? It's not Pinhead. What is the name of that horror? Pinhead. Hellraiser. That's right. Hellraiser is the name of the. That's right. The Hellraiser was the name of the movie series, and the main villain in it is a Pinhead. They decided that they're going to do a reboot of it. Hulu's doing a reboot of it, and they've cast the female actress Jamie Clayton in it, and her first appearance in her Pinhead makeup appeared. And is it weird that it's kind of hot? It kind of is, and that makes me kind of go, huh? What's going on with you, Dylan? I don't know. But yeah, interesting about that. But yeah, if you get a second, look up Jamie Clayton as Pinhead, and you'll see for yourself that you'd be kind of like, I wouldn't mind her torturing me really good, particularly in the genital area. All right, I'll move on for that. Down to some bad news. Actually, I'll do a couple of bad news bits here. So NASA was going to launch the first mission to the moon that they've done in years, since 50 plus years. On Monday, they were going to launch Artemis 1, but they scrubbed it before launch due to, I guess, a gas leak or whatever. And the next window was this weekend. So they scheduled it for Saturday, today, at 2:17 p.m., and that got scrubbed due to leak in the fuel tank. Now they have one more open window within this weekend. Monday, Labor Day, is the next open window. If they cannot launch it on Monday, Artemis will have to be removed from the launch pad, and the next time that the Earth and the Moon will be in the best position will not be until October. So if they cannot get this off on Monday, Artemis is going to be pushed back a whole nother month and a half, maybe even. So here's hoping that whatever issue they had a fuel tank leak this time. I forget why it was scrubbed on Monday, but hopefully they can look at it and say, we got to fix this. We got to get on it, because it's about freaking time that NASA gets back into exploration here. People, it's time to get back into that a little bit. Jane Fonda has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer. She's probably going to beat it, but still, it's a rough patch that you're going to have to go through. So thoughts and prayers for her. After a month of being entirely quiet, the month of August has been the quietest month in the tropics in the longest time. Hell, even July was kind of quiet as well. There really hadn't been a lot of tropical storms or hurricanes have been forming. And so we enter September, and all of a sudden, boom, 4 popped up. 2 named tropical storms have already popped up, with 2 more potentially going to be upgraded to tropical storms here in a little bit. And then we'll keep an eye on these 4 to see if they're going to affect the United States. Wouldn't be surprised. We'll probably see 1 or 2 of them sometime by the middle of this week coming up. So keep your eyes up. The tropics are starting to get busy again. And the storms that appear in September and October are more akin to head up the East Coast, where I'm located, instead of going to the Gulf. The June through August ones really are the ones that hit the Gulf of Mexico and Florida the most. Still, the ones during the September through October period can hit the Gulf as well, but the majority of them usually come up the coast, East Coast, hit North Carolina, breeze by Maryland, and head up into New York and Massachusetts and stuff like that. So keep an eye on that. And we know the weathermen, because they were just like, oh God, there's storms, so let's keep an eye on them. So they were excited about that. So that's coming up here. Some Marvel news. Florence Pugh's absolutely fantastic Yelena is rumored to be the leader of the Thunderbolts in the new Thunderbolts movie. We kind of expected that to happen, because we believe that Thunderbolts is going to be the character that Julie Louis-Dreyfus plays, is going to be the Baroness or whatever, is the one that the Countess, I believe, right? That's her name. She is the one who is going to be sort of backing this group. So Thunderbolts is one of the movies I'm actually most excited for. Shame I got to wait till 2025 to see it, but it's still, or is it 2024? Might be 2020. I think it's 2024, not 2025. So we have to wait till 2024 to see it. But should be a lot of fun. particularly if they can get Abomination, if they can get Baron Zemo, if they can even get Winter Soldier in there as well, would be fun. And maybe even Ghost from the Ant-Man would be another fun. And just to see the dynamics of this group sort of working together, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Scream 6 has finished filming just in time, since it's only September 3rd right now, right? Yep. No, just turned September 4th. It is 12 midnight on the dot. So it is now Sunday, September 4th. But no, Scream 6 is due out at the end of March. So now that it's done, it is going to hit where it's supposed to. The Bring It On film franchise started off as a just a typical rivalry cheerleader set of movies with Elijah Dushku and Kirsten Dunst and stuff like that, and has moved on to do a bunch of other ones. Some Felicia Day's popped up in a couple of the later ones like that. Now they're rebooting the franchise, but they're turning it into a slasher film. What's the name of it? It is Bring It On, Cheer or Die is the new film in the franchise, which turns the genre on its head from being a rivalry movie series to a killer stalking cheerleader sort of thing. So I guess it makes perfect sense. You've already done 3 or 4 movies with the rivalry thing. Why not mix it up a little bit like Fast and Furious has done? And let's see if you can get out of that. Speaking of remakes and reboots and stuff like that, Quantum Leap, the new Quantum Leap show, comes out actually very soon. I believe it said September 13th, I believe, is the date that it's supposed to make its debut on NBC, I think, or Peacock or whatever. So we started to see some of the first promos from it. The one I saw had the new Quantum Leap character jumping into the body of a hair metal guy from the 1980s. So that could be kind of interesting. And then there was one where there was a promotional poster which has in the sunglasses what his character he jumped into was, which was a soldier sort of thing. So we'll have that as well. And then there's like a typical promo with the main actor just sort of like flailing his arms in the air and just all the stuff going on. So we'll see what happens. I know it's not really Marvel, but I just figured about that. I saw that. Harriet Sansom Harris, who we haven't heard much from, she was on Frasier. She played Frasier's agent, and she's been in a bunch of other stuff as well. I think she was in Desperate Housewives, stuff like that. Harriet Sansom Harris has been cast in the Werewolf by, or was cast since it's going to be out here in a month or so. Was cast as Verussa, leader of the Bloodstone cult. She's going to be the villain of the Werewolf by Night movie, so that's going to be kind of cool. Speaking of that, actually, no, I'll wait because this will segue into my story about Dylan Knows in the next couple weeks. All right, just want to write that down. So I'll wait on that. But yeah, Werewolf by Night has its villain and a Harriet Sansom Harris, so that's interesting. Black Panther 2's Namor actor was body shamed by a Marvel artist who has since deleted their insensitive post. I don't remember who it was, but it was kind of an asshole tweet, and they have deleted it. I don't know if they apologized, but still it's kind of shitty that they did that. I guess maybe, the character of Namor looks not like the sleek, slender sort of type of thing for you. He's got a little chunk on him, but he's not like overweight or overbearing or whatever. And even that doesn't matter. Who cares, And also the actor who plays Namor has said that he did not know how to swim when he joined the movie. So he had to learn to swim on the fly, I guess, and here we are. So that's coming out November 11th. I've taken the day off of work, and I will see that. So we will do a Black Panther review that weekend, November 12th, 13th, sort of. Dylan Knows, but that's, again, in the future. I'm going to discuss that right now. I'm not exactly sure how to feel about this, but Aquaman 2 actor who plays Black Mantis calls acting in movies like Aquaman as clown work. Look, I understand not every actor has this mindset, but a lot of actors do. They feel that, they should be doing Shakespeare or Academy Award nominated dramas and just big acting, drama, doing all kinds of interesting stuff, being, award ready. That's what they feel validates them, is the amount of love that they get from critics and how good they are. Because if you ever seen an actor or whatever get a terrible review, their life is like crushed before them. And they start overthinking things, and they try too hard to try to fix things. Now, there are some actors who don't care, and that's cool. That's the way you should probably do it. The fact of the matter is, it may be clown work to you, but you're getting paid for it, and you're probably getting paid very well for it. It's keeping you, from having to be a waiter or a parking attendant or doing some other bullshit job when your passion is real acting. And if you think it's clown work, then why do you keep doing it? Oh, yeah, because you need to keep working. You're not getting offered the jobs that you want or need or whatever, or want. You go on auditions and they say, no, we don't like that. Or, hey, because you played this role in a comic book movie, we don't think you're going to be perfect for this role. That's bullshit, my friend. It's bullshit. If you look at the actors who've been in these superhero movies, they've gone on and they've done other things, and it's not really affected them too much in their careers. Hell, Elizabeth Olsen is going to be playing a serial killer in an HBO Max movie, and Chris Evans played the villain in Knives Out, and Robert Downey Jr., after he had his rebirth in Iron Man, went on and did a couple of roles that, not necessarily might have been the perfect ones to do, and didn't make a lot of money because everybody wanted to see him as Iron Man, but that's the whole point of it. Right now, the comic book genre is the hottest genre out there, and you're in it. You're the bad guy. You're playing a iconic role, and people are saying you're doing a pretty good job, and you call it clown work? Get over yourself, man. It's helping you keep food on the table, keeping you living the life you're waiting for, and giving you the opportunity to go on these many, many, many auditions that you aren't getting the roles for. And it's not because you're Black Manta that's not getting the roles. They just don't think you're good enough for the role. You should be embracing the fact that you are actually working. If you think it's clown work, then don't do it. See how long you last there. That's a pretty good thing. Yeah, now, obviously, DC and Warner Brothers, all that is in a mired a big shit show right now. But this is an actual movie. You got paid for it, and it's gonna come out, and it's gonna make a lot of money. The first one made a lot of money. I didn't like Jason Momoa's casting, but guess what? A lot of people did, and they made sure that it made a ton of money. It made like $800 million. Maybe it made $1 billion. I don't know. Get over yourself, man. Get over yourself. You didn't have to come out and call it clown work. And you may very well, just to put the final nail in your coffin, they do an Aquaman 3, they may be like, he doesn't want to do the role, so we'll recast or we'll put another villain in the role. Rant over. I got another one down the line, but that's okay. Candlewind is a horror movie that's exploring an urban legend of a Connecticut town. So basically, they're taking urban legends from a specific Connecticut town and turning it into a movie. That'd be like, I guess, what we have. The Bunny Man is one of the big ones here in Maryland, Virginia, the DMV, really. That could make an interesting movie, but they're doing something similar like that with this Candlewood movie. That hit the spot. What else here? I talked about in my introduction this Kevin Costner movie, Horizon, is really starting to take on a life of its own, and I'm getting actually really kind of excited for it. Now, as I mentioned before, Kevin Costner is fine. His best genres are westerns and sports films. Everything else he's okay in, but those are the two where he really excels. Hell, he won Oscars galore for Dances with Wolves, which is an absolutely gloriously shot film. And it surprised the hell out of me that he directed the way he used the sweeping visuals and just the way he directed. It was an outstanding directing film, and he rightfully won the Oscar for it, as he should have, because it was an outstanding directing job. And then obviously The Postman, not so much, but that was more sort of when he was in his sort of weird ass phase that he was in, where he thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And honestly, he still thinks he is, but he's sort of come down a little bit as he's gotten older. And then he made the glorious Open Range, which is amazing and outstanding Western film. Not as sweeping as the Dances with Wolves, but it goes to show that he can also make an intimate sort of type of film as well. He got a stellar performance out of Robert Duvall as well. Anyway, so he's come up with, he hasn't directed in a while, and he's finally come upon the next project he wants to direct. And of course, it's going to be a Western, because he's a Western guy. I mean, he's the thing that's helping make Yellowstone one of the highest rated shows in streaming right now. Let's be fair about that. You saw Kevin Costner is going to be in this show. You said, okay, let's check it out, see how he does with TV, because he's always done movies. And then you went in because of Kevin Costner, but you fell in love with the characters and the storyline, and you stick with it. And it's entering its 5th season. The 5th season teaser trailer came out this week, and it's caused a number of spinoffs. One just came out with Sam Elliott. There's another one rolling through here with there's some big actors in it. I can't remember who they are. And it's going to be sort of like this history of Yellowstone. So I think that's where Costner got this idea to make Horizon, is this all these spinoffs of Yellowstone, setting up the history of Yellowstone, because the main Yellowstone is the present day story of the clans that live in the Yellowstone Ranch sort of area. These spinoffs are setting up how everything fits into that spot, gets from point A to point B. You're at point B now. The spinoffs are going to be point A to point B. I should say it's C, because you've got one spinoff A, you got another spinoff B. You might have another one after that. So I think that's what he decided to do with Horizon. So he wrote this script sort of like about the history of the West, westward expansion, and how it drew, how people were drawn to the out West, and how it got set up and stuff like that. And that is of interest to me. 2020, when I was furloughed from work, I read a number of books about the creation of Dodge City and Tombstone and stuff like that. And I read a lot about the Old West, and it's really kind of an interesting thing. Deadwood is in there as well. It's a lot of really interesting stuff. And Costner decided he wanted to direct a film about the setup, how people were drawn to the West and how westward expansion changed the world and everything. That should change the country, I should say, because it really didn't affect the world all that much, with the exception it turned the United States from a small little pissant country to a massive country to where we are now. So he sat down to write this, and he starts looking at it. He's like, God damn, there's so much I want to say. I can't do it in one film. So I think he's expanding it to about 3 to 4 films now. So Horizon is going to be his massive epic. This is going to be his one that he's going to be remembered for. And I think he's going to kill it. He's going to knock it out of the park. I've been periodically giving you casting updates. This week alone had a whole bunch of them. Thomas Hayden Church has joined the cast of Horizon. And I have another whole set here. Jenna Malone, Alejandro Adela, Tatalana Mann, and Michael Rooker have also all joined Horizon. So he's killing it, man. He's getting himself an outstanding cast. And he's still going, because these films are going to be so big. He's probably going to need a whole lot more people to come and do something. He's going to be working. It's going to be like his Lord of the Rings. And that is outstanding. So bravo there, Kevin Costner. And I hope you stick the landing. I think you will. And I'm dying to see it. And we probably won't see it till 2024. 2024 is slowly going to be turning into one of the greatest movie years, I think, in history. The way things are moving right now, the way things, COVID had helped move stuff and push stuff around, and stuff being moved from one date to another. 2024 just seems like it's going to be totally stacked movie-wise and could potentially be one of the greatest years in cinema history. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, see the segue? Pretty good at it. Amazon Prime's long-awaited Lord of the Rings prequel TV series debuted this weekend with 2 episodes, each about an hour long. So if you sat down and watched both of them at the same time, like I did with my wife and daughter, you got yourself sort of a brand new sort of Lord of the Rings movie, which is telling the prequel history, the world before the Lord of the Rings stuff, hence the word prequel. So none of the characters, well, I can't say that. None of the main characters from Lord of the Rings are in this TV show. Ancestors of them might be. And you start to see a lot of sort of Easter eggs have been thrown in there as well, and a lot of intriguing things that could eventually open up to lead into what's going to happen here. And basically, this is set up to where we are when the actual Fellowship of the Ring starts. So it's going to be all set up leading to that. It's going to include the creation of the rings, Sauron's rise to power, Sauron's defeat, because Galadriel is the main character. Galadriel's the main character, and she is played by Cate Blanchett in the original trilogy. As an older, wiser, like leader of the elves. Here, she's a young, antagonistic, adventurous sort of elf who is obsessed with destroying the evil that killed her brother and her family. And we have young Elrond, also, who was the king of the elves in another area in the original Lord of the Rings films, and is the father of Arwen, stuff like that. We see him as well, and we see a ancestor of the hobbits in the Harfoots, who are migratory versions of hobbits. They're not quite the hobbits that we know and love, but they are starting to show some signs of it a little bit. We get to see the dwarves and the height of the dwarf empire, and we learn about Durin, who was mentioned in the original trilogy. We also see the cave in all its glory that the Fellowship travels through in the first film in the original trilogy. We see it in all glory there. We see how the elves came to Middle Earth. We've seen how the humans also reacted to the arrival of the stuff, and we've seen the arrival of the orcs as well. So the original Lord of the Rings trilogy is a classic, Oscar-winning as well. Prequel starts off a little slow because it has to introduce all the characters. But once you get into like the second hour and the story starts taking over, things get really, really interesting. I enjoyed immensely. It's shot in New Zealand, the same place where the original Lord of the Rings trilogy was filmed. Bear McCreary, who did the music for The Walking Dead, is outstanding with it. And also that Highland or whatever, that romantic time travel sort of show. It's on one of the streaming services as well. He does the music for that as well. He does the music for this. The set design is outstanding. Costumes are outstanding. So it's a visual treat, and I enjoyed it a lot. And there are lots of little, as I said, little Easter eggs here and there. And we'll see if it can continue going with this, and we'll see what happens. So good on that. Now, because of that, and because we live in the world of incel men who are, must, degrade everything that has like female leads or people of color in important leads, or that they blame the film companies and TV companies to being woke by casting people of color in roles that shouldn't be cast with people of color because white is right, that sort of stuff. They're leaning on their typical review bombing of things, because places like Rotten Tomatoes has issues where it collects all of the reviews, which is in essence is a great idea. It collects all the reviews of a movie, TV show, whatever, puts it in one spot and says, this is what, we read all the reviews, and these are positive, these are negative. You can read all the reviews, make up your own decision, but we came up with an arbitrary rating for it. So, which isn't really arbitrary. They have 100 reviews, and if 70 of them are positive and 30 are negative, it gets a 70 on the Rotten Tomatoes scale, which is fresh. Anything above 50% is fresh, meaning that it is a good film. Anything below it is considered bad. So if it was the other way around, 30 likes and 70 dislikes, it would be not fresh, that sort of thing. But the incels and the Snyder Bros and all these assholes who just can't handle stuff because they're fucking losers decide the easiest way to do that is to review bomb these shows, so that, you know, the companies who are totally unaware that they're being review bombed, bullshit, by the way, see that, oh my God, everyone hates this show. Why are we going to even put more money into it? They hate it, you know, or they hate it because, you know, it's a woke show and people of color shouldn't be, you know, in these roles, blah, blah, or a woman shouldn't be leading that, whatever. Fuck you guys. I hate you. Companies are smarter than that, you assholes. But there are the normal idiot people who, oh, let me check the tomato rating on this show. Oh, it's got a tomato rating of unripe. It's it's like 70% people of the reviews hate it. Oh, this is going to be awful. We're not going to go see that. And then it loses money, even though the movie or TV show might actually be decent. And that people who just make their decisions judged on reviews, you got to stop doing that, man. Because that's what these assholes are getting away with, is this damn review bombing shit. So Prime Video has finally said, okay, that's enough. You know, this happens all the freaking time when we try to do decent stuff and you assholes just can't handle it because you're fucking assholes. So Prime has decided they're going to put a 3-day review panel on content after the review bombing of Lord of the Rings. So Prime Video is going to take a look at these reviews and will not release them for 3 days. So basically, if you want to discover the stuff for yourself, you're going to have to fucking discover it on your own and not go with what reviewers saying. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like everything. But if you just go about by what these assholes are doing, saying it's an awful, terrible movie, they shouldn't have these actors in it, they can't act, and then you're like, this is terrible. But then someone says, let's just watch it anyway, just see how bad it can be. And you turn on, you're like, oh my God, this is fucking glorious. What are these people talking about? Well, now you're going to have to make that choice your own, unless you want to wait the 3 days until the reviews are, you know, put in place by Prime. This is more for the Prime Video reviews, because you have places like Rotten Tomatoes, as I said, they still don't have this sort of thing in place. But Prime Video, if you've ever gone to Amazon and you bought something, they always have, you know, please leave a comment or whatever. So that's where people are review bombing the Lord of the Rings stuff. So they're putting a 3-day window on review stuff, so they can weed out this review bombing bullshit. So I applaud them for that. And I hope, you know, I would wish Rotten Tomatoes would get off their ass and do something like that, but they're not, because they're stupid. But speaking of incels, the absolute perfect show, which is sticking it to those assholes, is Marvel's She-Hulk. 3rd episode came out this week, was absolutely phenomenal. And it was a episode pretty much centered around these fucking incels. And the show was kind of making fun of them. And it was outstanding. And I was there for it. And a lot of people are, all the people really talking about is the end, the mid-credit sequence where Megan Thee Stallion, who has a role in this episode, shows She-Hulk how to twerk. Like, that wouldn't happen in real life. The She-Hulk doesn't do that bullshit. That's all bullshit. That's all incel. Not incel. It's all female-oriented, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to see that shit. She-Hulk would never act that way. You fucking guys have no idea, do you? You've never read a fucking She-Hulk comic in your whole fucking life, have you? No. Having Megan Thee Stallion teach her how to twerk, and she didn't really teach her how to twerk. They were twerking together. Everyone was saying she was teaching show. No, they weren't. They were kind of doing it together. I think she might have said something. No, you got to do this, and then She-Hulk did that. If you read John Byrne's run on it, or Dan Slott's run on it, you would see that this version of She-Hulk is absolutely almost 100% perfect. There was an actual sequence in the She-Hulk comic book, which all these incels are like, that's nothing like the comic book. Obviously, you haven't read the comic book because there's a whole sequence where She-Hulk is jumping rope naked, but you don't see anything because the rope is covering up the naughty bits. And she's commenting about it the whole time, like saying this is pathetic by the artist writer, blah, blah, blah. And it has no bearing on it's gratuitous, blah, blah. So she's doing basically what the characters doing in the TV show because the TV show knows what the fuck they're doing. Outstanding performance by Tim Roth, Emil Blonsky. Wong makes his long-awaited appearance as well. We get our first taste of how this show is going to be run like a typical lawyer type of show with just instead it's going to be a typical lawyer show that we always see, but you're going to have She-Hulk be, one of the A story. And this is the first episode where they put a B story in with other members of the law firm. In this case, Pug, who I really, really like a lot, takes the job of, Jen's old DA partner, who is a sexist, lout, asshole, incel type, who was scammed out of, $350,000 because he thought he was dating Megan Thee Stallion, the singer, and it turned out to be a Asgardian shape changer. So you get the comic book aspect as well, and this guy thinking that, of course, Megan Thee Stallion would date someone like me because I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the whole court case about having to prove things and stuff like that. The whole point behind it, the whole prosecution was like, do you really think that Megan Thee Stallion would date you? Do you think that he actually thought that he was dating the real Megan Thee Stallion? He obviously knew he wasn't because he knew that Megan Thee Stallion would never date him. But in reality, this incel assistant DA guy was like, of course she would. Why wouldn't she? So Pug had to prove that, and it was outstanding. So I love the show. I extremely think it's hilarious. And they were totally dissing the beginning scene of the movie, of the TV show, is dissing the incels. And it is absolutely awesome. And I'm there for it. And also the court case with the assistant DA is an incel himself, where he won the case, but it made him look like a fucking tool, which I think was outstanding. So bravo to you, She-Hulk. You're outstanding. I love you so much so far. And I can't wait to see what you got to come. Not a lot of anniversary stuff. Because I started thinking about it. It's like the anniversary stuff really is, it's okay. But maybe I should stick more along lines of stuff that's, big anniversaries. But then I decided, I do whatever I want. So this time I got a whole bunch of different anniversary stuff, but not quite as much as I usually have. 12 years ago, Machete came out, which is a outstanding parody sort of these exploitation flicks. I think Robert Rodriguez is involved with that in some form or another. But yeah, that came out 12 years ago. I talked about this last week. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me came out 30 years ago last week. This week, the final episode of the third season of Twin Peaks, final 2 episodes, I should say, came out actually 5 years ago yesterday, the 3rd. So kind of interesting sort of having 2 Twin Peaks sort of things come at the end. I talked about Fire Walk with Me last week, and Twin Peaks The Return still has one of the most frustrating cliffhangers I've ever witnessed, and also one of the more confusing ones, but I should expect that from David anyway, because that's the way he does stuff. No anniversaries here. No, that's not anniversary. That's just news. I hear some anniversary stuff. Okay. REM's Document. I didn't get the date of it, but it's celebrating an anniversary this week as well. REM is my favorite band. Document is one of their really, really good albums, and I think it's the last one they did before they went and joined Warner Brothers and took off from there. I told you earlier that college football started this week. They This is the 15-year anniversary of when Appalachian State, the small college from the corner of North Carolina, where my nephew actually went and graduated from. And App State has always had a really excellent football program and has become one of those teams that the big programs would like to play as they call a warm up to their season. But they've slowly begun to realize that App State comes to play in these games. And I'm going to give you two examples. One is this one that happened 15 years ago, where Appalachian State beat Michigan. And Michigan, again, was thinking this was going to be a cakewalk game. They were going to easily win, and it was going to be like a blowout, 45-7, something thing. And it was just sort of way, give App State a chance to get in the spotlight a little bit, give them a little extra money to their program, and give Michigan sort of like a preseason game to warm up. But no, they got their asses surprised by Appalachian State, and I kind of remember when they won that 15 years ago. It was kind of excellent. So Appalachian State still is considered a good team to start your season off with, even though they've proven time and time again that they're going to make it close. They're never going to get blown out. Case in point is the game today, or rather, I should say yesterday, Saturday. UNC, University of North Carolina, decided they wanted to start their season off against App State, and UNC still won, but the final score, which I'm about to tell you about, shows that UNC still has a lot to do, that they are probably not going to be considered a top team, even though they won this game, because the final score was UNC 63, App State 61. 124 points were scored in this game, 40 of which were scored in the fourth quarter alone by both teams. The reason why Appalachian State lost was because they had two opportunities to get 2-point conversions, and they failed on both of them. Dylan, they didn't lose by 4. No, they came back and they kicked a field goal or something like that, and to cut it down and then try it again, that sort of thing. 63-61 is an actual football score. And App State, though they lost, still racked up 61 points. And they were actually leading that game going into the third quarter. Second or third quarter, they were leading that game pretty good. It was like 25-7 or something going to halftime. And then when they came out, UNC just went on this roll where they scored like 30 unanswered points, something like that, before App State was able to come back. And then they had that seesaw battle to come 63-61. Oh, yeah, I'm still doing anniversaries. And speaking of David Lynch, I forgot about this too. The 25th anniversary of Lost Highway, which is one of my favorite Lynch movies. Again, confusing as hell, but it's a really interesting story. Is this year, and I believe it was this week as well. And it is receiving it's going to be back in theaters in a new 4K sort of version of the film. So they cleaned it up a little bit and cleaned up a little bit. 25 years ago, Princess Diana died in a car accident, which still is kind of hinky, but we're not going to go with that. Stephen King, who's first of a couple Stephen King things we're going to talk about. Anniversary of his book, Different Seasons, came out. Different Seasons was a different style book for him. 3 of the 4 stories in Different Seasons, there are novellas, have all been adapted into movies. I don't remember what the first one is that wasn't adapted, but Apt Pupil was one of those, about a boy who discovers a former Nazi soldier is living next door to him and worked in one of the Holocaust sort of places. I forget what that's called. Shawshank Redemption was also in Different Seasons, and that became a hugely popular film as well. And a film that celebrated its anniversary a week or so ago, Stand By Me, based on the novella The Body, which was in Different Seasons as well, is in this as well. So Different Seasons is one of those collections of novellas that if you have not read it, you absolutely should. It shows Stephen King can write more than just horror films, horror books, I should say. But absolutely, so that's an anniversary for that to do as well. Any other anniversaries here that I can see? Nope. All right, real quick, I just saw this to make sure that I got it so I don't forget it later on. Paramount and Showtime streaming services are going to be merging into one giant merging group. So that's good, I guess, for that. So good on that. They should probably more successful than the WB Discovery. This isn't really an anniversary because the movie never came out in theaters. But the movie Trick or Treat, which is considered a Halloween classic, has never gotten a theatrical release. That's going to change in its 15th anniversary. Trick or Treat will be re-released in movie theater, or will be released for the first time ever in movie theaters 15 years after it came out. So another good, fun Halloween event you can check out. Now, I told you how NASA had a setback with the Artemis rocket, and hopefully they'll be able to launch it on Monday. However, there was some good news that came from NASA. NASA has succeeded in creating oxygen on Mars. It was one of the lab processes they were going to have one of the rovers do, and they have successfully created oxygen on Mars. So that's a giant leap into helping get people to land on Mars and be able to survive on there as well. So NASA had a rough time, but they also had a good time as well. Stephen King again makes an introduction here. Wrote up on Twitter that he just sort of came up with an idea for a movie / TV show / book. Because it's Labor Day, he just came with an idea called Slaber Day, a horror sort of film. So we'll see if he actually commits to that, or it was just sort of just shits and giggles like last week's Shit and Giggle, where he where he wrote the next saga in the Game of Thrones series, 400,000 words. He basically wrote the next chapter of the Game of Thrones thing, just for shits and giggles. So it's kind of funny. Let's see. What do we got? We got a lot of interesting stuff here on this page. Scientists have turned crabs into biodegradable batteries. I don't know how they did that, but they did. So now we have crabs that can be biodegradable batteries. Zozobra Day was, I think, a couple days ago. Don't quite know what it is, but I know it's like the burning of some sort of grotesque looking sort of creature, but it was something that someone on my page posted, and there we go. Someone else posted on my Facebook page. They didn't post, they post out in the world, and I follow them and so forth. But the cat ring bearer video, there's a video of a cat ring bearer who was pushed in on a stroller with netting around it so he didn't run around, but he had a little bow tie and tuxedo sort of thing on. He had the ring right next to him, so that was kind of cute that they did that. Serena Williams, who announced her retirement after the U.S. Open, was going on a tear through the U.S. Open, and eventually her tear eventually had to stop, and she lost. And so she played her last tennis match, but she went extraordinarily far in the U.S. Open because she is the GOAT, greatest of all time when it comes to tennis. From one GOAT to another, and a guy that I just can't stand, and whenever bad things happen to him, I have a little bit of schadenfreude. I shouldn't, but I did anyway. Tom Brady. Let's talk about Tom Brady. This year alone, he announced his retirement. He unretired, We found out he was part of the Miami Dolphins football scandal, where the owner of the Miami Dolphins put the pressure on Coach Brian Flores to lose games so that he could get replaced as coach, and they can replace the quarterback, Tua, I guess at that time was quarterback, with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. Sean Payton having just retired from the New Orleans Saints, and Tom Brady having retired from Tampa Bay. The Miami Dolphins owner, who is friends with both, had a ideal plan to get them to come to Miami, and they were susceptible to it. But when Brian Flores says, fuck you, I'm not going to throw any games for your ass, and Miami ended up having a pretty decent season, and he got fired anyway. And once he got fired, he went to the public and said, this is what happened. So they couldn't bring in Sean Payton or Tom Brady. So that was the whole point of why Tom Brady was retiring. He thought that he was going to be able to unretire and join the Miami Dolphins with Sean Payton coaching him. So, and then for training camp, he disappeared for like 12 days. No reason given. He wasn't injured. And training camp is, you need to be there. Even Lamar, who's in the middle of contract negotiations, and if you wanted to really make it painful for the Ravens, could have sat out all of training camp, and that's what some people do. He was at training camp every day. Tom Brady wasn't. Not that they need it, or not that he needs or anything like that, but to disappear for almost 2 weeks during training camp and preseason games, something hinky about that. And we soon discover that right now, Tom Brady and his wife, supermodel Gisele Bündchen, supposedly had an epic fight, and she has left their house. And we believe that might have been also another reason why he went on his little 12-day binge, whatever. Because when we came back and they were asking about it, I was like, yeah, shit happens, I'm 46 years old, however fuck old he is. And that's what stuff that sort of happens. So a lot of stuff going on, but I shouldn't have Schadenfreude because marital discourse is not very good, but not discourse. Marital difficulties, I guess I'll just throw out the typical word for it. So I'm not sounding smart anymore. But just something about him just makes me want to just hate him. I know why I hate him. There's a whole lot of reasons why I hate him, but we're not going to go on with that anymore. So there's that right now. Fashion experts, have said that the age of 53 should be the last time that you wear blue jeans. I've never liked blue jeans, and I've worn them maybe once or twice because I had to for certain reasons. Never been a fan of them. Though, to be fair, they look pretty damn good on some hot women, nice asses, stuff like that. That's the point. But this fashion experts are saying 53 is really kind of the last age that you should be wearing blue jeans. And a lot of people aren't taking that too well. A friend from where I grew up, his brother actually was my best friend, but I'm more in contact with the older brother on Facebook, commented when I posted that, fuck you. So as a joke, I know he's just joking, but it's kind of funny that because he is 53 years old. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's fashion experts. Who gives a fuck what fashion experts know? They don't know anything. They just know what they like. And they're not the ones that can make a determination about your life. You live your life. So wear your fucking blue jeans till you're like 90. I don't give a rat's ass. I just thought it was kind of a funny story. Disney supposedly is going to return to 2D animation for an upcoming project called Bluebeard, obviously probably based on the pirate. It's kind of interesting, what's his name? Oh, God, I hate when I can't remember shit. Give me a second here. Hayao Miyazaki. God damn it. Why can't I remember his name? Hayao Miyazaki, who is the Japanese Walt Disney, has hand-drawn basically all of his movies forever. And Disney has, done a lot more computer-generated stuff, which it looks great. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good stuff, but sometimes you kind of miss, traditional two-dimensional animation. Can't remember the last one that they did. I know Atlantis was one that was 2D animation, but I can't remember. The Emperor's New Groove is up there also. The Princess and the Frog was also 2D animation. But when Pixar sort of really took off, Disney started making more along the lines of these computer-generated ones. But now they're talking about coming back for 2D for Bluebeard, which could be interesting if they make a pretty good Bluebeard animated film. So they probably will too. Will Eisner, considered one of the greatest comic book writer artists of all time, creator of the Spirit. He wrote a book called drew a book called A Contract with God. I don't really know much about it, but it is getting a stage musical adaptation. So instead of a movie getting adapted to a stage musical, we're getting a graphic novel turned into one. So that's kind of interesting as well. Conjuring Chapter 4 has been set up and picked up, so we're going to be getting a Chapter 4 of The Conjuring within the next year or so. Spy Kids has finished, the Spy Kids reboot has finished filming. Robert Rodriguez is directing it again, and it's going to be debuting on Netflix probably next year sometime. Tusk, which is one of Kevin Smith's most bizarre films, I have not seen and actually have no desire to see, was kind of his take on the human centipede. Instead, it was about actor Justin Long getting turned into a walrus. Yeah, don't ask me about it. Supposedly says there's a Tusk sequel on the way. Sure, man, you should do the Moose Jaws one before you do Tusk 2 there, buddy boy, Chief, but we'll see. Here's a surprise. This is a huge surprise. Now, for a while now, they've been trying to get a Beverly Hills Cop 4 off the ground with Eddie Murphy. And there was a possibility there was going to be a TV show where Eddie Murphy was going to reprise his role, and his son was going to take over the main role of the cocky police officer. And Eddie was only going to appear periodically in this TV show as his dad. But that got scrapped. And then Eddie pretty much kind of signed a deal with Netflix and has released a bunch of movies with them. Did one for Prime also. It's coming to America too. But he's done a lot of stuff with Netflix. So Netflix has decided to pony up for Beverly Hills Cop 4. I talked about that, I think, last week. Jerry Bruckheimer said that the script was ready. Well, he said that it was ready. He said about National Treasure 3 also, but he said the Beverly Hills Cop 4 script is ready, and they're going to get ready to go into production really soon. Really soon was this week. Behind the scenes photos of Eddie Murphy reprising his role as Axel Foley have popped up online earlier this week, along with a official title. It is Beverly Hills Cop 4 Axel Foley, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but okay. And they also revealed 2 casting roles besides Eddie Murphy. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I think is an outstanding actor and is going to be outstanding in this, has been cast, as has actress Taylor Page has been cast in Beverly Hills Cop 4 as well. The shots we saw, behind-the-scenes shots, has Eddie Murphy putting on his old Detroit Lions heavy varsity, like college sort of jacket on again. So we're going to see that again. So it should be interesting to see where all that goes. But it is presently filming now, which means we'll probably be getting a Beverly Hills Cop 4 sometime next year on Netflix. So I'm good on that. KFC has got a new item coming to the menu on September 7th called the Cheesy Zinger Melt. Don't know much about it, but it looks like kind of a tortilla taco sort of thing with chicken and melty cheese and stuff like that. So that could be kind of interesting. A bakery has created a Galaxy Eclair with a glazed topping and it looks outstanding. It looks like, the typical black sky with purples and blues and spotty stars and stuff like that. It's a really gorgeous eclair, and it'd be almost a crime to eat it because it is an artistic, glorious piece. But it is also an eclair that you're supposed to eat. Dairy Queen has a cinnamon roll centered blizzard, which is, we all know the best part of the cinnamon roll is the center part. So now you can get a Dairy Queen blizzard that is just the cinnamon roll centers along with vanilla ice cream or cinnamon ice cream, whatever they use there. Any other food stuff? McDonald's, this is not a local McDonald's like McDonald's, I guess, over in Japan or whatever, is releasing the McPepper Burger. Don't know much about that. A Pulet Hitten Pie, don't know what that is, and a Tessie Frappe, which all have Pokemon sort of packaging on it. So I don't know anything about any of that stuff, but just thought it made my my page a bunch of times, so I figured I'd bring it up. Some football. The Arizona Cardinals, one of their starters, is going to miss about 4 games after suffering terrible burns in a cooking accident. So no, he didn't get hurt in practice, like a muscle tear or a concussion or whatever. He didn't get shot like a Washington Commanders player did during a carjacking gone wrong. The players was a non-lethal injuries. I mean, he still got shot, so I mean, it's not comfortable, but he wasn't killed, which is good. No, it was a cooking accident, and he got really bad burns, and will have to sit out the next 4 games as he recovers from that. Makes sense, I guess. The Baltimore Ravens last year had, good Lord, excuse me, had a crazy amount of injuries to their main staff. A lot of them, torn Achilles heels and their Achilles muscles, stuff like that. Well, it's happening again, but this time not to any players. The Baltimore Ravens mascot Poe, during a halftime game with Little League football players, you have the mascots taking on these Little League players, and the mascots just like tear them up. They like pounce on them and push them and send them flying and tackle them and all this stuff. They go crazy on them. So they did this during halftime during the 3rd preseason game. But Poe ended up tearing one of the muscles in his leg, and he will be out for the season. John Harbaugh called a press conference to announce that, and it was very, very kind of funny because he had to do a lot of those news conferences last year, and that's why he can make fun of it this year because he hasn't had to do it that much this year. Knock on wood. New season starts on Thursday with the Ravens' first game starting next Sunday. But my idea to have them is only real players who remember, or real fans of the Ravens will remember this from the early days of the Ravens. I couldn't tell you when it changed. I think it might have been the turn of the century, maybe around 2000, might have been somewhere 2004, 2005, something like that. But the Ravens used to have 3 mascots. They used to have Edgar, Allen, and Poe. Edgar was the really, really tall, skinny one. Allen was sort of the really big, chunky, fat one. And Poe was sort of like the medium-sized one, like a bird-sized sort of thing. And Edgar and Allen just disappeared one day, and it was just Poe. So my thought is that you should instead of bringing back someone else to take the place of Poe, the person who was in Poe, you should bring back Edgar and Allen. But what do I know? Fans were kicked out of a Cubs-Blue Jays game after it was discovered they were having sex in the upper deck stands. It could be cool, It's the danger of getting caught. You're doing it out in public. Sometimes the urge just hits you and you just got to fucking fuck, So that's kind of was impressive. the big thing that's been coming out lately is giant inflatable creatures. The last year we had the giant skeletons, which is like 20, 30 feet tall, whatever. Well, now we have a 35-foot tall, yes, 35-foot tall Michael Myers inflatable in time for Halloween. And you know what? I kind of want it because I love Halloween, and 35 feet is probably as big as my house, if not bigger. So that's kind of cool. And he's an inflatable. Going from Halloween to Christmas, Mariah Carey, everybody knows her All I Want for Christmas Is You, which is an absolutely awful song. I hate it, but a lot of people really, really like it, and a lot of people call it as, that's like, the Christmas song now. It's the one that, brings everybody to Christmas and stuff like that. Well, apparently right now, this year, Mariah Carey is being sued by a country musician, songwriter, who claims that All I Want for Christmas Is You is almost based very much like one of his songs. So we will see how this plays out in court. DC, Warner Brothers, Discovery are all having major issues and still shit show stuff. I got more shit show stuff talking here in the next few pages coming up. But here's one. The last few years, due to COVID, DC has created their own little convention called Fandom, where they were, they weren't going to be at San Diego or New York or whatever. So they did their own little convention to hype up their movies and TV shows and upcoming comics and stuff like that. Well, now that they're in massive issues right now, they decide it's probably best that we don't have a DC Fandom this year, because San Diego was this year. New York is going to be this year. Baltimore's Comic-Con is going to be this year. So in person, stuff like that. So there's no reason to do this anymore. But the DC Fandom that originally was supposed to come out this year has been canceled. Netflix has a new show, which could be, for people who are suffering from the Stranger Things, not being able to see more Stranger Things for a couple of years, called The Impossibles, something like that. It is a chupacabra, or the Imperfects, that's what it is. A chupacabra, a banshee, and a succubus who join forces. Now, basically, it's a mysterious lab, like Hawkins' lab, has been testing stuff on kids, like Hawkins' lab and Stranger Things. And they have brought out these creatures, have merged these humans with supernatural creatures. So there's a chupacabra, a banshee, and a succubus, and they are able to come together, and they're going to try to figure out a way to take down the people who did this to them. So the first trailer for it came out. It looks intriguing. It might be one that I might check out because it's got a lot of. There was that one show, I forget what it's called right now, which was on Sci-Fi. It was about a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost who lived together. I can't remember the name of that. It was a popular show. My wife absolutely adored it. And she wrote about it. And I think I didn't see all the episodes that my wife did. Let's see, werewolf, vampire, and ghost. Yeah, Being Human, that's what it was. Based on an English TV show that was the American version of it on Sci-Fi, Being Human. So it sounds like a lot of a cross between Being Human and Stranger Things. So it looks interesting. So will take place. And the fact that you're using three creatures that really don't have a lot of movies about themselves, a succubus, a banshee, and a chupacabra, and you can sort of write your own stuff about that because they all have their own little things. Succubus is all about sex, and banshee is all about like screeching and stuff like that. And I think the succubus is a singer, so that makes sense as well. So before we get to deaths, and there's a lot this week, let's talk a little bit about the future of Dylan Knows. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. But something is coming up very quickly. September 15th, 2013 was the first episode I ever did of Dylan Knows. So almost 9 years ago. every year I do like an anniversary show. Not that I do anything exciting. It's just a show like this, but it happens to be set during the anniversary of my show. I talk a little bit about, the creation of the show and stuff like that, like I always do every year. This year I'm going to try something a little different. Now, next week's show is not my anniversary show because that's the September 10th, 11th weekend. So that's going to be something else. We're talking about what's going to be in that episode in a second here. But I came up with the idea this week that I think the weekend after that, which would be the 17th and 18th of September, we're going to get 2 episodes of Dylan Knows. One is going to be just like this, where I talk about the news of the week, stuff like that. But for my anniversary show, I've decided I'm going to do a theme show. And I brought this up back at the beginning of summer, I guess. This year, and it's actually already passed, but it's too late for that. But still, it's within this year. In 1962, a certain superhero comic book character was created and brought forth to this world. The Amazing Spider-Man, my personal favorite comic book hero. And for those who've watched the show, you know why. But we'll get into that. And I said I was going to do a 60th anniversary Spider-Man show sometime this year. Well, I figured I'll do it for my 9-year anniversary show. That way I have a theme for my 9th anniversary show instead of me just doing a show like this. But I will also do a show like this because a lot of stuff is probably going to happen that week. So I'm going to have to do 2. It's going to consist of a lot of top 10s and a lot of my personal experiences with Spider-Man. It's going to cover the movies, the TV shows, animated stuff a little bit, a lot of the comics. I got a lot of top 10 lists coming, like top 10 characters, top 10 villains, that's my dryer, top 10 stories, top 10 artists, top 10 writers, and weird stuff about Spider-Man that is going on as well. So I've already written a bunch of this down. I'm probably going to continue over the next couple of weeks to solidify what I'm going to do, but not this week coming, not next weekend, the weekend of the 10th and 11th of September, but the weekend after that, 17th and 18th, which is going to be actually my 9th anniversary sort of episodes. I will be doing a theme show about Spider-Man and Alone Spider-Man. And again, I will also be doing another show just like this. Now, doing 2 shows isn't really going to screw up anything because I took last summer off, basically. I think last summer I did a total of maybe 3 episodes of the show. It was just going through a burnout phase. This year I hit every week. So I'm starting to build up my shows again. Should be a fun time. Now, I mentioned, it's not going to be this next weekend coming up, but there's something major coming up this weekend, coming up the 10th and 11th. Yes, NFL starting, but that's not the big thing. D23 is going to be, starting Friday, September 9th and going through September 11th. Now, September 8th, Thursday, is Disney Plus Day. That's when Thor: Love and Thunder comes to Disney Plus, when the new Cars TV show comes to Disney Plus, and where the live-action Pinocchio film directed by Robert Zemeckis and starring Tom Hanks goes direct to Disney Plus is all going to come out on the 8th. And 9th, 10th, and 11th is going to be D23. For those who don't know, D23 is the place where they announce new shows, show trailers, and other stuff about Disney and Disney Plus. So that means we're going to get info about upcoming Marvel stuff, which I would assume would include possibly the first trailers for Werewolf by Night and Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special. Even possibly Guardians of the Galaxy 3's first trailer. We might actually see that as well. Even Ant-Man 3's first trailer, we might see that as well. We'll also get more information about the TV shows like Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Echo, all of this stuff. We'll probably get some info about that. We'll also be getting information about the National Treasure TV show, which isn't Marvel related, but it's just giving you an idea of what's going to be coming up. We'll be an idea of what's going to be coming up for Star Wars, probably getting some trailer looks at Ahsoka and other upcoming stuff as well. That'll be rolling through the Star Wars stuff, possibly maybe even getting a firm date for Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, and Mandalorian 3. We might get our first trailer for that, as well as a release date for that as well. I think they might have released the release date, but I don't remember what it is, but they'll refresh our memory again and they'll do trailers for that. So should be interesting to see that, and they might even release some other, like their upcoming Pixar movies and some first looks at those, and their upcoming regular Disney films as well, about what's coming up and anything new about that. So D23 is going to take a lot of the news cycle for next week's episode, so we'll cover a lot of that. But there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that's going to be introduced, so I think it should be a lot of fun. And then the weekend after that, as I said, is going to be my 9th anniversary episode themed of Spider-Man, and then a regular episode. It's just 2 episodes. Don't know if I'm going to do them back to back, or I'm going to do one on Saturday, one on Sunday. I think what I might do is I might do one like this on Saturday, and then do my 9th anniversary on Sunday, due to the fact that when the show first started, it was on a Sunday, so it makes sense you can do your 9th anniversary show on a Sunday. So I might have a show on the 17th and the 18th. So we'll work on that as well. Wonderful. Makes me horny. Wait, what? Anyway, so we got that going on. And then Netflix's To Dumb is coming out the weekend after that. Probably would be the 20. I think the To Dumb is the 23rd. That's a Friday, I think. So we'll get information about that. Hopefully we'll get a Sandman season 2 renewal there, as well as more info about probably a lot of the live action anime stuff as well. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up over the next 3 weeks here in September. And then that leads into the glorious month of October, and all kinds of fun stuff. So keep your eyes up. Dylan Knows is going to get very interesting over the next 3 weeks. So just want to give you a heads up about what's coming. A lot of death this week. The biggest one was Mikhail Gorbachev, former premier of Russia, who was the premier who basically helped bring democracy to Russia till Putin came and fucking destroyed that, because Putin's a fucking asshole. Anyway, he passed away at the age of 91 this week. Excuse me. Ralph Eggleston, Disney Pixar animator, dies at the age of 56 this week. Luke Bell, who I've heard of, but never really heard of. Country singer, died at the age of 32 this week. High school football also started this week, and terrible news from a Texas high school. During a Texas high school football game on Friday, a football player died after suffering a head injury in a game. So that's kind of upsetting and dangerous. It goes to show that the game is fairly dangerous. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive end Steve White died after a battle with leukemia this week. Dean Diz Laird, a well-revered World War II fighter pilot, died at the age of 101. Mabel John, Motown's first female solo artist, died at the age of 91 this week. Chambi Dean, an actress who was in Black Lightning and the Triangle of Sand or Sahara or something like that, died at the age of 32 this week. That's kind of sad as well. Bill Turnbull, classic FM presenter and veteran radio announcer, I guess, passed away this week. Richard Root, character actor who was in Seinfeld and Friends, he died this week as well. Astronomer Frank Dale Drill, whatever, passed away. He spearheaded the search for intelligent life in our universe. He passed away this week as well. I need to really write these names out properly, give them the proper credit, or proper, not credit, but the proper reverence. Barbara Ehrenwich, who was a myth-busting writer and activist, died this week as well. Former female basketball player Jermaine Thompson died in a freak accident at her job at an airport, which, believe it or not, she was a member of GAT, which is one of the accounts that my company works with, but she was a former basketball player. She got her hair caught in some gears, and it I guess, choked her, pulled her and just choked her or did something, broke her neck or something like that. So a terrible, terrible accident. I think that's all the deaths we have this week. So, yes. I just saw it real quick. Ketchup and mustard Doritos are out now just in time for the end of summer. Go figure. October 5th, 2022, Blade officially starts filming for their movie, their new reboot movie from Marvel. Douchebag Rob Liefeld, who thinks he's God's greatest gift, comic book artist, but he is a god-awful comic artist, goes off on former DC editor Mike Carlin 20-plus years after the fact in a bid to stay relevant. Now, Rob Liefeld jumped into the world of comic books in the late 80s with his drawing on the DC limited series Hawk and Dove, which I thought was outstanding because Carl Kesel did a great job of inking him. And it was a very enjoyable. And at that time, I sort of was enamored with Rob Liefeld's artwork. That was kind of cool. So he then jumped to New Mutants and took over New Mutants, created characters like Deadpool and Cable and Domino and stuff like that, and got even bigger head because he created all the stuff. And then that in turn, because New Mutants did so well, he created X-Force, which had that issue, number one issue, where it was polybagged with like 10 different cards in it, and people were buying 10 copies of the comic. I was one of those to get every one of the cards. And then, people kept telling him how great he was and stuff like that, and it got to his head. And so he then joined a bunch of comic creators who were tired of working for DC and Marvel, so they created their own comic company called Image, where his comics became, Youngblood was the first one to come out, but it slowly became the worst ones because he could not hit deadlines, and he was more interested in doing TV commercials. He was a Levi's jeans sponsor, spokesperson, stuff like that. And then people started really noticing how bad his artwork was because Marvel asked him back in the late 90s when they were going through a problem. They wanted to bring back the Image people to work on Heroes Reborn. Jim Lee was one of the guys that came back, and Phyllis came back to help, get Marvel back onto the planet. And he drew the worst ever Captain America you've ever seen. And people started making fun of his artwork. And so he started, trying to, stand up for himself, but he's just could not get the douchiness out of him. And now, 20 years after Mike Carlin got at him about changing up the design of the last issue of Hawk and Dove, he's finally responding to him 20 years after the fact and a chance to stay relevant because he really hasn't done anything. He's done some covers here and there, but he's no longer relevant. He's still considered a joke, which he is. So you can go fuck right off, Rob Liefeld, and your stupid asshole comments about Mike Carlin. So you can just go away. James Webb's telescope captured the first direct image of an exoplanet. Considering how good all the other photos have been that James Webb has shown, the first picture of an exoplanet is very lackluster. I thought we'd see, an actual clear view of like an actual spherical planet. Instead, we see the damn sort of just, here's a glowing thing, and that's the planet. We don't see any surface, any way that the surface looks like or whatever. So not as impressed with that as I have been with a bunch of the other things that he's been taking pictures of. But would have been nice if he would have had a nicer pictures taken. Speaking of James Webb, also, a lot of scientists are concerned that the James Webb telescope is seeing things that shouldn't be there, and they're trying to figure out why that is the case. So while they try to leaf through all the pictures and stuff like that, it's kind of interesting to see that. As I said, Stephen King has a new book coming out. I think I'm going to actually order it so I get it in time for it. I probably wouldn't. I think it's too late to order it to get it on Tuesday, but I could get it later in the week. It's called Fairy Tale. It sounds very interesting. So he's all over the place. I've already covered some of his stuff. Well, here's something else. A new Stephen King movie adaptation will be coming to Netflix this October. It's called Mr. Harrington's Phone. Something about a dead teacher and this student that likes him and is able to be on a phone with him and talk to him. So seems interesting, but it's Netflix has also been a good place to find a lot of the Stephen King things as well. Actually, let me just see if I ordered if I ordered Fairy Tale today, would I get it on Tuesday? Let's see, $20.99. Let's just order these things right now. Proceed to checkout. Let's see what'll happen. Yes, I will get it. Yes. So I'm going to place my order for those two. So there we go. I also ordered the Blu-ray of Real Genius, which has not which will be coming out on the 13th. So I did that. So good on that. So I got those ordered. So good. I was thinking about it, so I went ahead and did it. So yay. Early this year, Winnie the Pooh's copyright went up. So anybody can do Winnie the Pooh stories now. It's not the Disney Winnie the Pooh. That's a different thing. This is actually Milne's actual character based on the book that he wrote. So his copyright is up. So people have been jumping all over it. So someone actually created a horror movie with Winnie the Pooh as the killer and stuff like that. But the first full trailer for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was released this week. So yeah. A Harley Quinn cartoon is getting a 4th season. I really want to see that. It's on HBO Max, and I don't have HBO Max. I'm not going to get HBO Max either, but I kind of want to see the Harley Quinn stuff because I love the fact that they got Harley together with Ivy and the two of them run around. It's an adult cartoon, and all the clips I've seen from it have been outstanding. So good on that. Jason Bateman is in talks to join Taron Egerton's TSA thriller, so it'd be neat to see Jason Bateman in an action film. Brendan Gleeson from Harry Potter and In Bruges has joined Joker 2 in an undisclosed role right now, but that's kind of a really good addition, I would think. Twisted Metal TV series based on the video game that stars Anthony Mackie has finished filming, so that'll be coming out really soon as well. Usagi Chronicles season 2 came out on Netflix this week as well. I was excited when they first announced Usagi as a animated film on Netflix, but then they didn't call it Usagi Yojimbo, and they stepped away from the ancient Japanese sort of samurai story that Stan Sakai was trying to tell and did something else different. So I haven't watched any of that yet. Maybe I need to clarify that, but I don't think I'm going to. Giant planet has been found around a tiny white dwarf star, and that's a view into what our solar system is eventually going to be like once the sun explodes, because when the sun explodes, it's going to take out the first 4 or so planets in the solar system, which includes Earth, and Jupiter, this massive planet, is going to be the first one to still be around to orbit it. Ben Kingsley's Trevor Slattery, who last appeared in Shang-Chi, has been cast in the Disney Plus show about Wonder Man, which was announced a while back. And now with casting, that means we might get some more info about it at D23 as well. This was outstanding. Daniel Radcliffe was cast as Weird Al Yankovic in a kind of a Weird Al Yankovic sort of biopic that's going to be on the Roku channel of all places on November 4th. And we saw a couple clips of it, some shots of it, but nothing really major. This week they released the full trailer, and oh my God, it is outstanding. And I really want to see it now. This biopic is not a 100% accurate Weird Al Yankovic biopic. It actually is a parody of rock and roll biopics. In this one, it has Weird Al having an affair with Madonna controlling his life, him also getting involved in drugs and alcohol, and how his parents were hated him and were telling him not to get involved with the accordion, and just him being just a total nightmare sort of the typical rock star type of thing. And if you just do a little research about him, you discover that all that is fake. But it is Weird Al's chance to he was known for parodying a rock song, so why not parody rock biopics? And I'm here for it. It looks outstanding. If you have not seen it, check out the Weird Al Yankovic trailer. It's called Weird Al. It's called Weird, but type in Weird trailer, and you'll maybe not Weird Al trailer, and it'll pop up. So good on them. My alma mater, Albright College, was named in the Princeton Review as an academically outstanding college in the Northeast. So that's good. Good sign for them. Albright has had a renaissance since I left, and I'm happy for them. That's very good. Frosted Flakes Insta Bowls are instant cereal. So you just pick one up, you open it, and everything's there. I think the milk and it's like powdered milk. You add some water to it or whatever, you mix it around, and you get yourself a bowl of cereal already. Pregnant stray cat decides to stay at a police station, and after she gives birth to her kittens, the police station decides to make them actual employees of it and have given them little uniforms and have let them live on the premises. So good on that as well. An animated series from Disney Plus based on, it's not a series, animated sequel to the Night at the Museum movies is going to be arriving on Disney Plus here within the next year or so. So it's been announced, and there it is. Mila Kunis has been cast in her next role. She's in a Netflix mystery adaptation called Luckiest Girl Alive. So it'll be interesting to see Mila Kunis. She hasn't done something for a little while, so it'd be nice to see her back in action there again. My girl, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and my guy, actually, Freddie Prinze Jr., I like him too. They just celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary. And to celebrate that, Sarah released a old video from about 20 years ago, I guess. It was right around the time that Freddie and her got married, where Freddie was on the Howard Stern show. And Howard was talking about how he does not expect Sarah and Freddie's wedding to last 5 or 10 years. And he's like, I'll make a deal with you, if you come crying to me in 10 years about how bad it is, like you owe me money or something like that. And I didn't see the whole thing, but basically it was Howard just basically saying, you're not going to stay married. You're not going to be together forever like you think you are. Well, ta-da, 20 years, man. And once you hit that 20 years thing, they're probably not going to break up anytime soon. And, just the pics of them together, they're parents of 2 kids. They seem to be still in love with each other. And good to see a successful Hollywood couple that I hope goes as far as Paul Newman and Joanna's, I forget Joanna's, what's her last name's, marriage. Joanna Woodward's marriage went as long as theirs. Theirs was like 50 plus years. So kudos to you guys. Congratulations. You got married a year before my wife and I, but our kids are older than your kids by about a year or so. So we'll call it even. So I still think your daughter should date my son, and they can get together and get married. We'll be in-laws then. That'd be awesome. But that's besides the point. Charlotte is the same age as Noah, so now we're getting to the fun stuff. I think this story goes hand in hand, but a WB insiders say that the Snyder Cut should never have happened due to, as I revealed about a month or so ago, when it was revealed that the people who were yelling for it were just a bunch of bots put together by a bunch of these incel obsessed Snyder bros, review bombing bullshit and calling out people who didn't like the Snyderverse stuff, and Snyder not saying a goddamn thing to stop them from attacking people because it made him feel gooey inside. Fucking tool. But the WB insiders have now said it was a mistake to release this because no one really wanted to see it. And we actually had, we were under the impression that, Zack Snyder said it was done. And then when they said, okay, let's do it, he said, well, I need like $10 million to finish it. And he basically just he fixed all the stuff that he because he had the movie probably done, but he fixed a bunch of stuff that he had heard fans said that they wanted to see and turned to a 4-hour piece of shit. So it's always good when something bad happens. Again, the Schadenfreude aspect, but again, the fact that you did not stop your toxic fan base from going after people and review bombing stuff, and also being one of the people to orchestrate that bullshit, which came out in that Rolling Stone article. You deserve all the bad shit that's coming down for you. And good news also, the potential new DC film boss, Dan Lin, says that the Snyderverse was a complete, utter fucking disaster, and do not expect to see any of that bullshit in their new upcoming DC Universe films. So good on that. So, Tadar. Agents are also telling actors to avoid working for Warner Brothers due to all the bullshit that's going on over there right now. Can't blame them, because you never know if your films are going to get canceled or thrown in a vault after 90% of it has been filmed and not even trying to release it to see if it gets any kind of coverage. You piece of shit. Release Batgirl, for God's sakes. Don't fucking do a Snyderverse Justice League bullshit asshole fuck shit. Put in some Batgirl. Put it out there, man. Let us see to make our own decision about it, you dumbass. So good on that. Switching gears real quick, the limited edition Keebler Rocky Road Fudge Stripes are coming out now too. Fudge Stripe has got a bunch of new stuff as well lately, so it's kind of interesting to see that. Okay, let's try to blow through. We got about 20 minutes before it's 2:30. I guess 1:30. 20 minutes. No, before it's like 1:45. So let's move on here. Lindsay Lohan will be opening up Netflix's Christmas holiday season in November with her comeback film, Falling for Christmas, which is a romantic Christmas comedy, which honestly I kind of want to see, because she's been sort of in the clean and sober aspect for a while. So Christmas movie, it's going to be on Netflix. I'll be watching anytime I want to, so I might check that out as well. I have no idea what that says. It says like Cleve gets annual sale. So I don't know what that means. So this might go quicker if I can't read my own goddamn handwriting. Larcorn is a new Disney trading card game, which is trying to go up against Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. So we'll see how well that works. Dunkin' Pumpkin Spice Graham Goldfish is your new pumpkin spice treat that you want to try for right now, but it's in goldfish form. Apparently, Coke's new flavor after the mango one, which I tried last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, is now a watermelon strawberry flavored Coke in this skinny white can is their next flavored one. Again, tastes have, gone from being really bad to really good. So I'll have to see if I can find that for myself. Just in time for fall, also, Ghirardelli Chocolates have created their first ever milk chocolate caramel apple treat. I remember from my honeymoon, my wife and I, we stayed at a hotel literally right next door to Ghirardelli Square. You looked out our window and you were looking right at Ghirardelli Square. So we went up there and they had a delicious hot chocolate, and we got some of the chocolate up there as well. They had a lot of things, but this is the first time I've ever seen a Ghirardelli Square milk chocolate caramel apple, and I might have to try it because I like caramel apple and I like milk chocolate, and the Ghirardelli stuff is pretty good. Netflix. Oh, that's an anniversary I forgot. Netflix was started 25 years ago. Remember, Netflix didn't start as a streaming service. It basically started as they would mail you DVDs, so you wouldn't have to rent them at Blockbuster or buy them at the store. You could just, go onto a computer or whatever, and you see all the movies and you want to watch a movie or whatever. You say, I want to get this movie. They would send you the movie, and you could watch it for, I guess, as long as you wanted. Then they sent a return envelope, so when you were done with it, you could just return it back to them. If you did not return it, I think they would bill you for it and move on from that. So that's kind of interesting. Luke Wilson and Andrea Savage are playing surprise grandparents in a new Netflix film called Look Both Ways. Basically, they're like 17-year-old daughter gets pregnant and they're not ready to be grandparents. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a busy guy. He's now presently working on Beverly Hills Cop 2. But after Beverly Hills Cop 2, he will be joining Tessa Thompson on the Neil Blomkamp's produced thriller Ash. Don't know who's directing it. I don't think Neil is. He just said he's producing it. He might be directing it, but right now it says that he's just producing it. Liam Neeson's new thriller, it's a noir thriller called Marlowe, and it has a release date of December, so we'll see that in December. There is a Caribbean island that you can buy now with a home on it for $475,000. That's pretty cool. A BioShock movie is in the works for Netflix. Video game movies and TV shows are the new big deal right now. R.L. Stine movie Zombie Town adds Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, who are reteaming since their 1985 fun film Spies Like Us. Kiefer Sutherland's back in a film, in a William Friedkin directed film about the Kane Mutiny court-martial case. William Friedkin is one of the best directors of time. Didn't know he was still around, but he is. Kiefer Sutherland really hasn't done anything for a while, but he's also a really good actor, so it'll be good to see that. Pain Hustlers, David Yates' new film. He's the guy that directed all the Harry Potter movies and the Fantastic Beasts movies. Well, he's stepping away from that to work for a movie for Netflix, and it's called Pain Hustlers. It's going to star Catherine O'Hara, Amy Green, I guess. J Duplex, J2, something like that. So, didn't see it all. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Bobby Monahan joins Ryan Reynolds in If, the new John Krasinski film coming out really soon. Lance Bass and Danielle Fishel are going to be making a movie about their romance from the 1990s. I thought Lance Bass was gay, but I guess maybe it took a while for him to figure it out. Oh, Clue. Clue gets an animated series now. That could be kind of interesting if done properly. So I figured out what the one thing I couldn't understand was. I can't read this one. Oh, the Nightwing. Oh, yeah, this is the WB stuff. The Nightwing movie has now been canceled at the WB. Understandable because they're in a shit show right now. And then WB Discovery also announced that they do not have enough funds to market their movies now. So that's another shit show that they're dealing with, particularly with the Black Adam movie coming out real soon. I haven't seen any commercials for it, but I've seen one or two maybe, but that's been mostly on the internet. I haven't seen actually anything else anywhere else. So who knows? Moon Age Daydream, the David Bowie biopic, got its first trippy trailer. A long-lost medieval village emerges from a reservoir after a century beneath the water due to drought. It's starting to pop out and people discovered it. Snackoon is a new video game where you can play as a hungry raccoon looking for snacks. There's a planet that has rings 200 times larger than Saturn's, which is insane. If you've seen this picture of it, it's like here's the moon, here's the planet, and then the rings go way, way, way out here. It's crazy. Joe Pesci has joined Pete Davidson's TV show Bupkis. There's also a video game where you play as a tiny being stuck in a forest. So the bugs and grass and all that stuff are like giant towers and stuff like that. So that's kind of neat. In advance of the Andor TV show coming out September 21st, Star Wars Rogue One will be re-released in IMAX, and the ticket buying for it has turned Rogue One into one of the highest grossing IMAX films of all time. So good on that. People want to see that movie in IMAX. Ozzy Osbourne has decided he's going to be leaving the United States due to the current climate. Can't blame him. And he has the ability to do it since he is British. Minions has crossed the $500 million threshold, so good for them. A nearly flawless 1952 Mickey Mantle baseball card sold for $12.6 million at auction. So, see, comic books are not the only thing that could make a ton of money as well. I got two more things on here, and then we're going to say goodnight. The Lady in the Lake, which was the film I auditioned for, or the TV show I auditioned for way back in the early spring that I did not get, has been filming in Baltimore over the last few months. They finally ran into a little bit of trouble where a bunch of drug dealers were trying to extort money from the production company, saying that if they didn't give them money, that there would be problems with the filmmaking, but the film stuff would be missing or damaged or whatever, or stolen. And police have been notified, and the people have been kidnapped, or not kidnapped, have been captured, but that's still kind of scary. And the final story for this week, right? Mountain Dew is continuing their Halloween specials, where they're releasing their Mountain Dew Voodoo drink, which is a unknown flavor soda. And you're supposed to try to guess what it is. Each one has been based on candies. I don't really remember most of them. I think I skipped the last couple because I think I tried one before. I didn't like the taste of it, so I didn't go back and get it. But I wouldn't mind trying it again now that I know kind of what the flavors are. People who've drank this new version say it very well could be like Sour Patch Kids. It has a very sour sort of flavor to it, but then it turns into more of a sweet sort of thing. So one person said it tastes like sour Skittles. More than likely, I think it's going to probably be Sour Patch Kids, which makes sense. So I wouldn't mind trying that. So when Voodoo comes out, I'll go ahead and pick that up. But what's really interesting about the Voodoo news is that they are going to be releasing, apparently, variety packs. The 12 packs of Voodoo will now be variety packs. It will not just be the Voodoo flavor for 2022. It will consist of all the Voodoo flavors, and I think they will be labeled on the cans, so you'll be able to know which one you're going for. I think that's great. I think if that does come out, I think I will buy a 12-pack of that and just retry all those again, because I honestly don't remember much about them. So on that note, we are done. It was one of the longer episodes, but we had a lot to talk about. Next week is probably going to be just as long with D23 stuff, the beginning of football, any Labor Day stuff going on, Disney Plus Day, 9/11 stuff. We got a lot of stuff. Reisterstown Festivals next weekend. So we got all kinds of cool stuff coming up. So next week is going to be a big one for D23. Again, as I said earlier in the show, the week after will be 2 episodes, one on the 17th and one on the 18th. That's the plan right now. The one on the 18th will be my 9th anniversary special, and it'll be a Spider-Man themed one. The one on Saturday the 17th will be my typical regular show where I talk about the week's work on that. And then the week after that should be when my family is away at camping, so I'll be solo at the home. But it should also be Tadum, I think, is the 23rd of September. So we should be getting Tadum information for Netflix. Hopefully a Sandman Season 2 announcement on the 25th of September. So a lot of stuff coming up. And that's it. Let's see, NFL starts 9/11. And also the next week, the 17th and 18th, is also going to be the final Fortnite, the final episode of Fortnite Chapter 3, Season 3, and the beginning of Chapter 3, Season 4. So we'll talk about that in 2 weeks as well. So D23 NFL starts 9/11, Reisterstown Festival. I've already got some of the next week stuff going there. So I've killed enough time right now. I'm going to try to push this to 153. See you all later and have a good night. Let's see if I can get this time just right.